protein, usually 27–28%. So not only do you get the benefit of displacing corn in that feed ration, you get the benefit of displacing soybean meal in that feed ration. And so the net usage that we use to produce ethanol in this country is 16% of the corn crop. I don't mind fighting big oil. I don't mind fighting big food. I know they're not standing up for rural America, but they ought to play by the rules and quit passing this misinformation and start talking about the facts. The third point that I would make on that, other than the market and other than the misinformation, is stop and think about the consequences. If you roll back the RFS, number one, you're setting a precedent. Anytime Tyson's Food or Smithfield's not making a profit, they'll be knocking on the door for more. And you know, they're great companies. They do what they need to do for their stockholders, but that's who they're out for, is making money for their stockholders, not for rural America. The ethanol industry has been the driving force in the boom in the farm economy. If you go back a few years ago, and we were in that situation that we are today, we'd all be going to Senator Franken and saying, help bail us out on price. We're no longer doing that. Since the beginning of my life, we've always said we'd love to get a price from the marketplace. We're doing it today, and if these critics continue, they want us to go back to cheap, overproduced commodities, where you're getting below the cost of production. You've got to go with your hand out to the government to make ends meet. That happened for 40 years. That's the struggle that we're facing with some of the big food companies. They were the ones benefiting from subsidized, federally subsidized farm programs. They were having a little hard time about getting over the fact they have to play in the free market. Smithfield's chairman, it was announced last week that, you know, even he's struggling. He had to take a 30% pay cut down to $13.5 million. If anyone wants to help collect the fund, maybe we ought to help them out. But they're not in it for you, they're in it for themselves. The last points that I really would like to make on this, and this is, if you stop and think about it, I know I may be the oldest person here in the room, maybe many of you don't remember it other than Dave Frederickson, when we had grain embargoes. And it was devastating to our markets, not just one commodity, but all across, because of the interaction of commodities. And in essence, what Big Food and Oil is asking for, by singling out one use of corn, is a domestic embargo on grain. A domestic embargo on grain. And I know, and you know, how devastating that would be to kill the biggest demand push, domestic demand push, for our products that's existed in any of our lifetimes, new demand. So we can't allow that to happen. Again, I have full faith in farmers being able to produce. They always told me since I was a little kid, the best cure for high prices is high prices. We saw that this year with an increased amount of acreage going into corn and soybeans. We didn't get the prices because we didn't get the production because of the weather. That's unlikely to happen next year or the year after or down the road. I have confidence we'll have plenty. I guess my whole point here is don't panic. Don't try to fix something that's not broken for a handful of people that don't really care about rural America to begin with.
Thank you, Tom, and he'll be around. We'll go to Q&A after we hear from the rest of our panel. Tim Radnicki with Minnesota